Alright, for all our friends that are English speakers, this is an episode in English, but the beginning, I always do it in Spanish. For the rest of us that are here in the podcast bar, okay? So if you're an English speaker, you can always jump to the beginning of the conversation in our podcast bar. Para el resto, ahí les va.
El Martínez es un proyecto colaborativo de Rainbow Lobster. Suscríbete en Spotify, Apple Podcast o donde oigas siempre tus podcasts. Y si odias las plataformas de podcast, también puedes oírlo en elmartinez.net. Y para seguirte llenando la cabeza con autopromoción descarada, si quieres, ojo, si andas en el mood, si te nace, puedes seguirnos en Instagram en el Martínez Podcast.
Comenzaba la noche en otro espacio cultural lleno de alcohol y sabiduría creativa. Como diría el gran filósofo François Bourgois. Sigue, François, sí, me gusta, como venías bien, dale. ¿Ya sabes? Sí, ok. Fue entonces cuando recibimos a esta dupla realmente maravillosa, que desde el Perú profundo ha venido a revolucionar una industria. Pero que sea Marlene quien lo diga, por favor. Dale, sí, que venga Marley, va.
Fundadores de Lanfranco Córdova en Nueva York, que estuvo en el top 5 de las agencias independientes en Cannes Lions 2022, después de ganar un Grand Prix. Dos peruanos que se conocieron en la universidad y que después de ganar la competencia de Future Lions de Cannes, despegaron una carrera meteórica llena de premios que los llevó a Singapur, París y Amsterdam en agencias como Wieden+Kennedy y Saatchi Saatchi.
Esa noche... voy yo, dale. Bueno, esa noche hablamos de un montón de cosas con este par de amigazos que comenzaron justo aquí en la Croisette, y comenzamos hablando de esa capacidad de adaptación que les dio la posibilidad de abrir su cabeza al mundo entero.
I think definitely a lot of experience, because it's working experience, but also life experience, because Singapore and Paris doesn't have many things in common, like also Amsterdam is totally different. So for us, it was a way to grow and have different experience.
Yeah. Life experience, and I think that what it shows you is adaptability. Like, I think if there's something we adapt, I think by going to a place that was the first place we moved away from Peru, was the most different from Peru too.
No podíamos no hablar obviamente de sus inicios en la industria y de la influencia de un grande que es Pj Pereira, que lo tuvimos aquí hace unos episodios, unas noches atrás, que fue su gran mentor y quien lo enlazó al crecimiento de su nueva agencia.
Basically what we did is through PJ actually, he's one of our mentors for many years because he gave us our first award in Cannes. So we talked to PJ, and he has his agency already for like 15 years called Pereira, and Plan invested on them at some point, like a percentage. So he was like, hey, this is working really well for us. I think it might be interesting for you guys. You should talk to the Germans. The Germans want to talk to you. So he was sort of the link, obviously, because Service Plan invested on their company. They decided to invest minority in the agency. So it's great.
Nos fuimos, como siempre nos gusta, a ese behind the scenes o detrás de las ideas, pues como le quieran llamar, y es que nos contaran cómo fue que nació esa idea de Piñatex que les dio el Grand Prix en Creative Business.
That's it's actually a really interesting story because all the best work we've done, now even with Nativa Meter, that sort of work that doesn't really stay on the advertising space. The idea behind was simple. We helped all launch promises. The main promises is like how to reduce fruit loss from operations by 2025. And then we found that basically obviously they take the pineapple, the pulp, they package it and they sell it, but the leaves itself, they end up on landfills, they generate methane emissions, it become like a problem. what do we do to turn that into an opportunity?
Hablamos de lo complicado que puede ser abrir una agencia, bueno, tranquilo ahí en Nueva York. Y en decir, ¿sabes qué? Planto acá mi bandera y de ahora en adelante hago comunicación para clientes en todas partes del mundo.
Yeah, I think it helps you also open the doors, of clients, like when these accolades that we never really expected. Like when we opened the agency, we were like, it's sort of, and we were saving half of our salary on a little bank account to be like, look, when we're gonna open, it's gonna be struggling. We even made a plan. We moved to a small apartment, and you have a lot of people, like even your family, are you guys crazy? Like you should call back your boss. Mainly a lot of people that they laugh when you tell them, well, 2 Peruvians are gonna open an agency in New York. And again, going back to what you were saying, we went through a lot of struggle. That I think is important to mention that because everyone sees the awards and the Cannes and the Grand Prix and the things. We believed in ourselves.
Y terminamos hablando de la importancia de estar globally aware, o lo que mismo quiere decir globalmente despierto, cuando estás pensando en creatividad para el resto del mundo en este negocio de las ideas.
I think that's something we have by nature, because of all the places we've lived. So we think as our agency as it's a true global boutique. Like we apply global view to extract the insights, to look this, because we do it by real experience. We stand up again in front of a Singaporean client presenting things for them. With creatives in Amsterdam, from all over the world too. I think you have to be globally aware when you do an idea.
Let's begin another episode in English. Pero mientras tanto vamos levantando todos nuestros pisco sours para recibirlos, porque ellos son Giancarlo Lanfranco y Rolando Córdova.
What's up, mis hermanos?
Everything good.
Yeah, everything good. We're Giancarlo and Rolando, couple of friends in New York, having a hot day over there.
Yeah, totally.
It's in the 90s. It's hot. It's September, and it feels like July. But anyway, it's better than the extreme cold here that you live in February. So
yeah, I know. So yeah, I think you guys are New York. I'm in LA, so we should just move on and go straight to El Martínez, El Côte d'Azur, a little bit of French, and a drink in our hand. Does that sound good?
C'est bien, très bien.
Très bien la bougie levé. Vámonos, let's go. All right,
vamos.
Bienvenidos a El Martínez. ¿Qué le servimos para empezar?
All right, here we are. Okay, and wait a second, because people will. I have many people here before anything. What are you going to drink?
I think I'll go for a rosé. Glass of rosé.
Rosé for the house. How about you, my friend?
Maybe an Aperol Spritz, since it's hot.
Aperol Spritz. Okay, rosé and Aperol Spritz. Wait a second. François. Oui. Rosé, Aperol Spritz, toi. Oui. Merci. So, okay, so the first thing people will ask is, how is it that you guys me being Venezuela, you being Peruvian, and we're speaking in English? I mean, I have a lot of people from Latin America here, but also we have a lot of people from US, we have people from Singapore over there, Amsterdam, friends from you in Amsterdam. So that's the thing, right? Like you guys, even though you started your career in Peru, now many of the people that you speak every day is English speaker, right?
Yeah, it's basically, we started obviously in Peru many years ago. It's gonna be like 20 years or so. And in Peru, we only had our internship, if you want to say. We were
Right.
at the Saatchi and Saatchi at the time. The
Right.
creative industry of Peru at that moment wasn't the best. There were really not many great agencies. I would say Saatchi and Leo.
How old were you guys when you were to Future Lion?
I was 20, actually.
You was
20.
How about?
I was 24 around
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were in your 20s, and suddenly you have this big opportunity of who created? Was it actually it was Pereira, right?
Yes.
Who was behind it?
AKQA. So it was AKQA and
AKQA.
and they launched the Future Lions, and it was the first year that they launched it. We won it, so it was like a whole experience. No, go to Cannes, come back to Cannes, obviously.
Coming here, man, here started everything. So I'm from here. You jump to Singapore, then Amsterdam, and then Paris. Was you? Everybody there clapping here. And excuse me. Here is your Aperol, your rosé. Oh, thank you. Merci beaucoup. Okay. Salud. Cheers, guys, for that. And suddenly now you're in New York, like the mecca of the advertising and the Mad Men. So what a trip, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
I think definitely a lot of experience, because it's different markets with different kind of working experience, but also life experience, because Singapore and Paris doesn't have many things in common, also Amsterdam is totally different. So for us, it was a way to grow and have different experience, working, getting to know brands and also culture,
life experience, and I think that what it shows you is adaptability. Like, I think if there's something we have, is we adapt. I think by going to a place that was the first place we moved away from Peru was the most different from Peru too. Like, we are going from Peru, that is, we know South Americans is a place where things are made sort of on the way, it's really spontaneous.
Exactly.
There's no budget, you have to create things on the way. You live without the safety net, So you start in Peru, you live basically based on what you can create with your own creativity or your own hands, and you see it, from the time of your parents to it was a society that isn't the most stable one. So you suddenly move to a place like Singapore that is perfection. Everything is stable, everything is clean, everything works. The metro is clean. The people speak many languages. People make lines to take the taxi cab. In Peru, you stop them on the street. So it's
right.
Completely different, right? So I think that going to that place, I think it opened us the world, because then going to places like Paris or Amsterdam or even New York, even though they're obviously different from South America, they're somehow a little more similar. So
exactly. At the end, you're in a part of the world that the codes, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. And I was watching the other day. Actually, you are in the TV in Peru also. I mean, of course. I mean, like the guy who went all the way to the world, and now it's like everybody's like, oh, these are the best creative guys, and of course now you have your agent in New York. So how is it? How is it when you go back home? Is people like, man, I knew you were here, playing football outside, and now you are.
It's interesting because, yes, we've been on the TV in Peru. I think Peru, obviously, they have great personalities, for food. You have the best chefs, Virgilio Martínez, Gaston Acurio. For music, you have Juan Diego Flores. And I think advertising, even though it's a small community, there weren't that many people to follow. I think we were one of the first ones that, like, obviously now there's fantastic Peruvian talent all over the world.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, but when we go back there, something we realize is like at least one person, like sometimes, even more, but they'll stop us, on this, are you Lanfranco and Córdova?
Oh, okay.
Or we wrote a book a few years back. So it's like, I read your book. Can you take a picture of Peruvian students of advertising or communication? Can we take a picture? Can we? So like last time we were there, and every time we go once or twice a year, it's like, do you think someone is gonna show up and say hi? And we're like, I think it was 2 days before, right?
Even in the last time, it's good because, we like to, stay in contact with the people, especially students. They send us emails, sometimes asking us for advice. And every time, we are, in Peru, they always stop us and say, hey, what I can improve in my book to make it better, or should I apply, or how I can, go to US or to Europe. Can you give me some tips? And I think it's really important. For us, it's like we always try to have this sense of community and help each other. And I think it's really important, especially with young talent.
Yeah, and when we started also, we didn't have Peruvian references to follow, it
right.
was time. So all the best Peruvians on creative were in Peru, but even though Peru is a small market, so we will follow more I think one thing we did, we met in university, so we'll spend our recreo, you mean the breaks?
The breaks, yeah.
Going to the library of the university where they have the Losers Archive, the magazine.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And we will read the interviews of David Droga, Dan Wieden, whatever, Eric Verbruggen, Celo Serpa, we'll be reading, it's like, oh, look at the work they're doing, these people is doing, and, I think that sort of added that reference we needed.
Well, it's interesting and how important is, again, a place like this, and cheers again for that, because it's actually a springboard. We were talking about Pj Pereira, right? He was one of the one who founded, and now I think he's in the same, kind of belong in the same organization that has a little bit of participation in your agency. Is it that right?
So basically what we did is PJ, actually, he's one of our mentors.
Okay, so he became your mentor. That okay.
Yeah, our mentor for many years around. Because he gave us our first award in Cannes. So he's
it makes sense.
Always been in our side, and we knew Service Plan. Service Plan is a huge independent network from Germany. We worked in Europe. We were really. They always did great work creatively. So we talked to PJ, and he has his agency already for 15 years called Pereira.
Yeah, great one.
His plan invested on them at some point, a percentage. So he was like, hey, this is working really well for us. I think it might be interesting for you guys. You should talk to the Germans. The Germans want to talk to you. So he was sort of the link, obviously, because Service Plan invested on their company. So we were like, okay, at this point, a few months ago, before we were looking for an investor, minority, still independent. We didn't want something that huge. So something small on participation that can allow us to grow. We're still a small agency, so we have access to everything, from services to things that are really important, like having a CFO, a legal department, a physical office, service plan, all that. So they decided to invest minority in the agency. So it's great.
And is it helping? Is it giving you a lot of? I also imagine maybe access to some pitches and no.
Definitely, I think it's giving us a structure that we wouldn't be able to get. If it was Rollo and I, again, it would take us 5 years to get that structure, that access to pitches again, clients too, also services. We started the agency. It's not that we started with backing. It was me and Rollo working of a co-working with $10,000. It was really
yeah. That's the way I started mine too. And it's the best feeling, and at the same time, it's the most scary. Super. I think it's that part of the life that you will never forget. It's just when you are with your body and just this money, and that it's this is going to end, man. If we don't bring any clients right now, this is over, right?
Un bar inclausurable. El Martínez.
Yeah, I think it's like a roller coaster, every day, because you will have those days that are really great and some days are not so great. So you have to keep positive because it's like, it takes time to make everything work at the same time. But, it's going to happen. Like maybe some days are not be as good as the good days. Yeah.
But when you started in the middle of the pandemic, like 2020.
We started in that actually, I mean, it was good in the sense that you didn't need the infrastructure. So when we were meeting clients, we're all on a Zoom, so clients could compare agencies, a little bit the ones that started working with us. And at some point they were like, hey, there's this agency that shows up with 20 people on a window and you guys are like 3 or 4. I'd rather work with you, yes. I don't need 20 people to do this sort of assignment.
Wait a second. Wait, this is getting me. It's a flashback because I remember those days when I started my agency. The people, you will make this walk through the agency, and the client will say, "Oh, okay, so you have people. It's not like and I remember sometimes I bring double so the people can really see a lot of people." But what you're saying is that when you started just right in the pandemic. So it was the amount of people that you can actually see in the Zoom. I would totally invite some random people so they see a lot of people.
and it was like sometimes, I mean, it depends on the clients, but at that time they were like, a lot of clients also had they were working more project based. They had restrictions on budget. So it's like, they also realized like, look, at least the ones that started working with us and are working with us is like, this idea is better than the idea of the, let's say, more established agency. And it's like, why do I need to work with 20 people if I only need, 3 people to think it, to make it, So
right.
Like overhead, all these layers, that is what, big agencies are currently struggling, if you want to say, in the current times. I mean, obviously, there's going to be huge agencies for huge clients always. But I think that little thing we did, that time sort of helped us because, we couldn't be, that year before, in order to open an agency in New York, you need at least $2 million, right? Get a building, here 10 people. We did it more like the opposite, like start getting little project by project, and we get a bigger one and a bigger one, and then
interesting. So I think that we could say that you guys are developing what I really believe is like the new agency model, right? Like because big structures that belongs to the industrialism times of the world where people go from 8 to 6 as it was a factory time, and hello, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's on chain. Like people work from everywhere. Like you just said, why would I pay extra on anything that I don't actually need for an idea, right?
Exactly. I think it it's how we were born, it's how we work now that we have even a little bigger structure, still small, like we have a creative director in Ecuador, a creative director in Argentina, we have editors in Peru, a couple of designers in Peru, me.
So you're using the Latin American power. Yeah,
Yeah, it's when we've worked all over the world and we realized that the best creative talent is in South America, and it's something we don't hide. It's something we love. Most of the work.
You embrace it, and does the client respond well to that philosophy?
I mean, yes, for us, yes, because it's believable. We're 2 Latin Peruvians giving opportunity to also South Americans, and the work we've done. So far, at least, it's been, I would say, great. Most of it outstanding. So all of that work we show to clients is like, look, there's my production, there's South American people involved. And, you want diversity. This is truly diverse. It's not that I'm hiring someone random, I don't know, to like put a little bit of a racial color there. This is actual diverse thinking.
No, interesting. Tell me one question with the doll case, the Piñatex, which is a great example of creativity and bringing someone to the table, not only in the case of a creative, but a person like Carmen Hijosa, right? Like
And let me just wait a second. I always have people shouting at me. It's very simple. What they did is that there was this Carmen Hijosa, okay, who has this, I don't know, discovery or way of doing it that is an ananasa man. And she knows how to build or convert the pulp of the actual piña, how do you say, pineapple, or what? And transform it into leather. Which, I mean, if you tell me, we're going to transform this into fabric, kind of makes sense. But leather, what are we talking about? And you were with Carmen Hijosa. How did that happen? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story because, I think all the best work we've done, and now even with Nativa meter that we just got some, it's sort of work that doesn't really stay on the advertising space. We actually become like business partners with our clients, so we go all the way to transforming the business, to doing part of business transformation. So the idea behind was simple. We helped Dole launch promises. They launched 5 promises. One of them, and we worked with them strategically since launch. We created the film. We worked on the strategy together.
Yeah.
The main promises is like how to reduce fruit loss from operations by 2025. And then we found that basically obviously they take the pineapple, the pulp, they package it and they sell it, but the leaves itself, they end up on landfills, they generate methane emissions, it become like a problem, right? So that was
like 20 times more emissions than CO2. Is something crazy. I didn't know that.
The tons, it was like a lot of tons. Obviously they're the biggest producer of pineapple, so that was the brief, the promise. What do we do to turn that into an opportunity, into something?
Okay, that was the opportunity. So they had, we have this and we don't know what to do with this waste. Guys, can you help us to understand what to do with this? Okay.
Exactly. Wow. And one of the ideas was to, partner Ananas Anam, obviously, to use that, waste into a new source of opportunity, and basically.
Do you already know Ananas Anam? Hijosa, how did you get to that?
We didn't know her. We met her now, obviously. We know her.
Yeah, of course.
We even have done work for Ananas Anam already.
Okay. Later, another client. That's good. That's a good strategy.
It's at the time it was more like we knew what the company was doing, and we thought, if you take this plus this equals this, right? So
right.
Obviously, there's a lot of credit more on the client of pursuing that partnership and being like, that's a great idea. Let's talk to them. Let's sign a contract. Let's make it it's an operational idea. It's a business idea.
Yeah.
But the end result for us, as in the happy moment, is to see when they're making Nike sneakers out of dull pineapple leaves. That was like this is
wow.
Great.
Yeah, that's amazing. How long did it take it to make it?
This is over a year, a little bit more than a year to make the thing. But now it's a continuous partnership. It's still going on. It's still providing, obviously helping Dole achieve the zero waste policy. And it's also creating a new source of business for them too. So it opened a lot of layers. I think creative ideas shouldn't just be specific to a campaign or an ad.
No.
And I think the more like us as a nimble team, we work really close with our clients and we become partners. And like even for that, we remember, just like connecting, helping the client, the CMO also working on the strategy, like strategic partners, not necessarily, come and do the ad,
This is just only the creative couple, that came. But sorry, Rolando, you were to say something. Sorry, you were speeding your Aperol Spritz. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No. I was saying like it was also, convenient for Ananas Anam because for them was like having more like the resource of the pineapple leaf so they can scale up, because they already
they had the invention, but at the end this was like a way to actually explode their business too.
Help them a lot. So
And I thought like it's a nice way because it's not just only help doll, also help ananas and arms.
It helped two brands by one.
Long like to collaborate.
Solo para desconocedores. El Martínez.
When the bottle is over, come on, you cannot keep it, over here. The empty bottle is sadness in the table. So guys, and what else? I mean, after that, with not only with Piñatex, but most of the work that you've done, you became like a sensation in the US, which, by the way, it makes me very proud. That I've seen Latin American people from Peru doing it so well. And fifth independent agency in Cannes, agency like the best new agency, the ADI Awards, and the one shows. Crazy. I mean, especially for that, but I'm assuming, of course, like it happens with the award and the good work, it gives you like a big showcase, no, or like a big screen or spotlight, right?
Yeah, I think it helps you also open the doors, of clients, like
right.
When these accolades that we never really expected. Like when we opened the agency, we were like, it's sort of, we believed in ourselves a lot. We were like, we can do it, we have to do it. It's, again, going back to what you were saying, we went through a lot of struggle that I think is important to mention that because everyone sees the awards and the Cannes and the Grand Prix and the things.
But nobody tells you about that moment when the phone is not ringing and your email is totally empty.
Exactly, and that's the scary, and I want to go back to that because I think that's important. When we opened the agency before, we had, let's say, a job. We were at McCann, I think, before, and we were saving half of our salary on a little bank account to be like, look, when we're gonna open, it's gonna be struggling. We even made a plan. We moved to a small apartment, like a walk up on the fifth floor. Like it was, and you have a lot of people, like even your family, are you guys crazy? Like you should call back your boss. Our boss at the time was John Mescal at McCann and also Rob Riley.
Call him back, tell him that you want to work again.
Yeah, call them, like maybe they offered something, like you have spent that. These guys, and you get a lot of people, mainly a lot of people that they were like, they laugh when you tell them, well, two Peruvians are gonna open an agency in New York. You can barely speak.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a joke. We have two Peruvians in New York and they want to start an agency.
Come on.
And there you are, boom.
It was, so I think those first 8 months until we got our first project, let's say our first
8 months. Man, that's a lot. Like supporting 8 months.
8 months was hard. We started going to get a little bit of projects back in Peru. We had like 2 clients there that sort of helped.
Oh, okay.
A little bit, obviously, but we were waiting for one in the US.
Going to WeWork every day or to your...
We couldn't afford WeWork. We were in the living room at the time. It was the living room.
So who's really was Rolando or Giancarlo was the living room?
Oh, we were living together, so it was like...
what? Okay, so you were roommates and partners. Okay, that's complicated, eh?
Complicated. But it was the energy, I think, made it happen.
Yeah.
Something we didn't lose, even though at some point you were like circling around and, it was the optimism. We always were like, one is gonna happen, and then we got one project. We collaborated with a friend that had a design studio, and she didn't know how to make ads. She knew how to make art direction, but not really storytelling.
Okay.
And it was a pitch, I remember, for Foot Locker, and she like called us and it's like, let's pitch it together. You do the film, we do the design, and it's like, okay, let's do it. And that was like that was the first project. We're like, oh wow, it works creatively, but also it could be a good source of income too. Like if you do some good projects like this, it could be also beneficial. And for that, we already developed a system where we had, freelance people in South America at the time, not full time, but it was like we could execute things in South America with great talent. It's like we don't need like the famous US director. We have an Argentinian that can come film fantastic, will look better, and they will love to do it with a great craft. So we started implementing sort of the business model there. And I think that was the aha moment. And then, we got more clients with that work. But it was struggle. It was like every day not knowing, lack of confidence too, because a lot of people that the few that believed on you didn't believe anymore. Like,
right.
From parents, friends, it was a little like, these guys are crazy. But I'm happy sort of like it survived until now, so it's great. But
No, come on. Yeah, sorry, Rolando.
A lot of that came, from our background, because as South American, we have a lot of flexibility, and we always try to find a way, like, how we can execute this, with this budget. And sometimes, like when you are here in US, it's like everything is rigid somehow. Like you say, okay, if you don't have this amount of budget, you cannot do this or do that. But we always try to find a way, like, how we hire this director, or like being flexible is important also to survive, and at the end of the day, adding a lot of value for what you do.
And I think that the ability we had to be adaptable, flexibility that we learned from, moving to Singapore with a place that it was different from Lima, learning a new language, moving to Netherlands, that is we adapted, like we were like, okay, and I think that's the best we do in the agencies. Like, even if you hear the briefs of Piñatex or the briefs of malnutrition labels, or, even like now what we did with Nativa, they're not the most sexy briefs, like it's almost like
right.
B2B briefs. Nothing is a Super Bowl ad or like lead to something with so yeah. I think we do.
One question. Sorry to interrupt you there. Now I'm thinking like, oh yeah, that like receiving that brief in particular, I didn't think about it. Like when you see the solution, it makes sense, right? But how do you go to the client? How do you get those? Because you didn't have Piñatex at that time. I mean, you had the work that precedes you, which was very good and successful in many agencies, such as Saatchi, but you didn't have anything to show at that moment. So how was it? How did you convince them?
Yeah, it was a lot of persuasion, a lot. Where something also we try is like we try not to give up. We keep pushing, and I think you also have to have a little bit of luck. Like with Dole was interesting because we met the CMO because we used to live in Singapore, so Singapore became valuable. And
exactly. And that's where the main production is, like 200 million. I mean, like 2 million up. Yeah.
And that's where, and we met him many times. He wanted to hire us at some point because he was working the client agency, at the agency side. And then, we saw on the news that he became the CMO global. It's like, just text him and, hey, we launched an agency. We don't have any client. We've done a few projects.
Okay.
It was really, like, he gave us also really interesting, he gave us like a small internal project first. That it was almost like a test. That he told us, look, if you guys screw this up, nothing. If you do it well, and we
it was like an internal campaign for motivation or
motivation internal. But the president was gonna see a lot of people was, and we did that as if we were doing a Super Bowl ad. Like we did, like we worked night and day, everything on a short time frame. I think he gave us like 2 weeks or something. We presented it to them. They loved it. Also, it was the way we did it. We did it in South America using our editor over there. So we made it on a way that was nimble. And he loved the work. And it was like, okay, now the harder thing, is like putting you in the system as a vendor. We had to do that as crap. Like, like too creative, receiving an MSA that needs to be seen by a lawyer. Like we've done from scratch. And it's like, to work with clients like Dole or clients we work now like GE or, Diageo or whatever, like insurance of production, insurance of cybersecurity. It's like we had to be calling us like, oh, how do we get insurance? How do we, to be a vendor, right? To be
to become a vendor is one of the, and especially with a big company, you're small, you don't know what, suddenly do I need an insurance? Do I have to pay for that? What are you talking about?
It was a whole, but we were there, we did it ourselves, we took a lot of, now thank God, obviously you were asking us why you did this partnership with the service plan with the Germans, right? It's like, well, they give us this really valuable infrastructure, now we have a CFO, now we have a physical office. Now we have a legal team. We don't have to struggle with all that. We have someone that can talk to procurement. So literally we have obviously access to all these tools and all these people that we wouldn't be able to hire, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Operates the business, but that side, is like for us to get the PO number approved is now more important than winning a. So it's like, let's eat a pasta. Yeah.
Esto es El Martínez.
How do you say a dupla in English? Like a team, creating team, no? Because now I'm assuming you both has their own apartment. You're not living together anymore.
We split.
Finally you split. But now who's the art director? Who's the copywriter?
I mean, we came, like more for the background. Our background is more of ideas people. Technically, I'm the art director, and Giancarlo is more the copywriter. But actually, like we were more focusing on doing ideas. So we don't, how you say,
You don't believe in that?
We are not linked to the traditional model of, okay, you are the art director and you the copywriter. I do my design, you do your copy, but we always think and we, help each other.
And I think now we something we learned, for example, when we worked at Wieden+Kennedy or Fred and Farid, that were independent agencies. You sort of build an agency based on what you're not good at and what you're good at, right? So like,
right.
Like as Rollo was saying, I'm not the best copywriter. Rollo is possibly not the best art director, but we're really good coming up with ideas. I think that's our strength with concepts or curating ideas. So now we have a fantastic art director that will art direct the idea. We have a great copywriter that comes and changes the lines. I mean, but we build it based on our strength. So our strength is the ideas, and we hire people that allows us to shine on that segment. So
and especially I think that it must be build relationship for you because you guys knew each other at university, no?
Yeah.
You started together, so that I remember those times when I was a student, like you had like a lot of dreams and you were start like shaping yourself. So I think I guess that help to understand now that you're more mature. It's like who we are, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we still keep the dream. I think we always keep the dream. I think the moment you stop dreaming, then you stop creating. Like you always have to dream for further. For more things. But yeah, I think we met in university, and it's since then it's almost like our relation. We're like brothers. It's almost like you work suddenly. It's not about it's about life and things we share too. So it's work big part of it.
Yeah, it's always important to have a dream. I remember when we were at university. Like at that time, Peru was like really local market. As Giancarlo explained, with the figures that were really strong on the Peruvian advertising community, but barely we have people that were outside of Peru. I remember when I was a student that was saying, like maybe I can go to Mexico or to Buenos Aires, that is nice, and then we got this opportunity. But, the first important step was to have a dream of, like going abroad and, working with something, and then maybe something better will come.
And don't be afraid of that. No, we were like, at that time there was an Instagram, barely Facebook, I think. So we were looking on YouTube videos of how is Singapore, like, how do we?
But I think it also, guys, it also needs a level of not being ashamed, or because again we talked about that before, like, oh, it sounds like a joke, like two Peruvians going to New York. But if you think about it, that's only a preconception, a misconception that we do it. Like we are, what is a Venezuelan doing? And then when you start traveling, you need to have the self-confidence to achieve that, no? Because I just can't imagine, like, when you guys went to
Wieden+Kennedy Amsterdam, right? Where we're talking one of the meccas of the creativity, and be shameless to say your idea must be something, right? What do you think about that process?
Yeah, you have to be confident on you have to believe in yourself. I think you have to because we've been in situations where even the people that your girlfriend or even your parents were like, they don't believe, so I think
which is
believe. And we didn't have shame. Like, I remember we were at how do we got into Wieden, because to go to Singapore you needed to fly to Amsterdam and then fly from Amsterdam, right?
Okay.
So on the world tour, right? So you fly to Amsterdam. We're like, one of the best Wieden+Kennedy offices is here. At that time there wasn't internet, so like it wasn't that like a book online. So we went with our CD and we emailed now it's one of our best friends, and we learned Joachim Borgstrom job that maybe you
the great Joachim.
Yeah, Joachim. So Joachim was kind enough to it was like a Saturday to receive us, and he an Apple store. It's really crazy because the office was closed. He took us to an Apple store where we put the CD and he reviewed our work. And he said,
wait a second, let me see if I understand this correctly. So you go to Amsterdam because you are in a flight to Singapore. And you take advantage of those 8 hours or whatever.
One day,
one day, let's say, 24 hours, you say, let's look for a job in Wieden+Kennedy. So you go to Wieden+Kennedy in a Friday, or it was a Saturday?
It was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday, and then someone was there, and it was Joachim. Well, that's the universe working there.
He's crazy, and he spoke Spanish. He was interested that we were working in Singapore, and he took the time to look at the CD and the work. He said, "This is interesting. I like it. I'll send it to the recruiter, and we'll see if we have any openings. But thank you." And then we flew back to Singapore. We didn't hear from them in I don't know, 8 months or 7 months or something. And then suddenly we got an email from the head of recruiting. His name was Keith White at the time, and Keith inviting us to Amsterdam to meet the ACDs and we're like, okay, let's go. So that's how we, and then we met the ACDs. They liked our work.
But that's being not having a shame, right? You just go for your thing and
find a way, knock the door. It's like nobody can stop you from. And I think we had that. Even you ask us, how do we got into Dole? Like we harassed the client. That's how it's like, give us something.
Okay, that's why. Hey, Joachim. That's why Joachim was here. I was like, why? Oh, yeah, I didn't know you guys knew each other. He was here there just like 1 week ago.
Oh, wow. No.
Yeah.
Un saludo a Jab, que es un.
Jab. Hey, saludos.
Está tomando.
Está tomando por acá. Yeah, but I agree that it's no shame. Just go for your thing, and there's always. I always have this, like, the no. You already have the no. That's the easier part, right? Like, hey, do you want me to present you credentials? No. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'll call you later.
Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to ask, because when the people feel that you have good intentions and when you have like a passion, a motive. I mean, if you ask people, they always, in general terms, try to help. But if you don't ask, they will never reply to you. So that's why you shouldn't always, you should always try to contact people and, try to ask for something. And the people will respond in a good way, always.
Interesting. So guys, how are you seeing, because you are now in this position that we're talking, that is going back to your country, Peru, and as you say, I've seen how Peru has been developing also creatively very well. I actually remember this is how old I am, but I remember the first Lion of Peru. I think it was like an ACE ad in the old days, and it was like that it lasts a long. It wasn't that beautiful, that very one shot film, and now you have Lions all over. You guys came with a Grand Prix, which is amazing, right? So how are you seeing Latin America or even Peru as a region and the developing? Because you keep working with people in the region, right?
Yeah, we have a few clients in Peru, not anymore, more like in the US, and in Colombia we have a few clients now. But we have employees in Peru. We have editors, designer there. So, and in South America in general, too, we have two creative directors, one in Buenos Aires, the other in Ecuador. But I think Peru, South America has the best talent. Like, the talent is fantastic because it's passionate. They love what they do. That can be replaced. That money can't buy. Little things can buy. Like, the passion you have to do work, it's something that is not transferable. It's something that is part of the DNA. And I think us as South Americans, we have that. Obviously, in Brazil, Colombians, And I think that the Peruvian, even though we don't know the market in terms of clients or how it grows, we see that there's better. Like, the first time I went to Cannes, 2006, I remember it was like me, one CEO of a Peruvian agency, and one client. It was like 4 people of 3, right? Now, obviously, we try to go every year, but now there were like around 100 Peruvian. Like, we were like, even when we won, they were like with a flag, and they came, and they're like there's bigger community. People is more excited about creativity. I think Peru used to be seen as a country where you needed to have a traditional career, call it a lawyer,
right,
banking, or work on mining or something like that. But I think now, obviously, with the openness of the food, the great chefs we have, the creativity on there, is also passing creativity to advertising, film.
Interesting.
I think that part is developing. That before it was seen. And remember when, even in our time when we, this is, I don't know, 18 years ago, 20, when you would go to your parents and say you want to study advertising, they'll cry. They'll be like, man, convincing I had to do to my dad to pay the career,
that's hard. That's hard. Yeah, of course.
This is what more difficult than selling any idea that we've produced. It was like you need to put money on this career. That no, I'm not gonna be a doctor. I'm gonna create ads. It's like impossible, right?
El Martínez es el Martínez. Sí, él. Hola, Martínez. ¿Por qué no?
No, but it's amazing how the creative industries has demonstrated in the latest year how important and the amount of money that we produce at the end. And well, that's proof of that. And I think that the model that you have, that you guys had come with that. I think Syracuse was an agency who started with that model years ago, and then now they're media with Martínez, that he started hiring. Like, he understood, one of the people that very early on stage understood how important the Latin American talent was, and he started hiring people from all over. Then now they're part of Mediamals, and they were bought by Sorrell. But even now they are like this group, network, etc. They became that. But I think that the model that you guys are talking, again, it's more like how collab and cooperation works, and even not needing to someone on your site. Like, are you working? Are you here? Because that's very interesting, right?
Yeah, no, I think, like, as you mentioned, South America is like in the past, like before, like you have this, just Argentina and Brazil, like still, as a reference, but now you have, people from Colombia, creatives coming from Mexico.
They're killing it. Yeah.
Puerto Rico, like, I think it's like, it's booming, Before it was just, okay, Argentina and Brazil are the kings. I mean, they still, like, way ahead of different markets, but, now we have more players in the region, no? Peru,
totally.
Or Colombia, like, it seems like the creative field is elevated now.
I agree. This has been in this bar has been very recurrent. Is I mean, if you hear how some of the biggest figures of the creativity at that time from Argentina, who gave the first speech in Spanish in the ballet, speak about how Latin was perceived before and how Latin are perceived right now. And I think you guys are proof of that. It's just that, again, call it a mix of learning how to deal with crisis, or how to convert yourself, because the power is the idea, no matter if the budget is there or not. Maybe it's that.
I think that also, again, we're on a global market, so like ideas can, as a difference from before, where you do specific ideas for like now with social, and with like the idea, you do something here and it's seen in China, it's seen in Amsterdam, it's seen in South America. So I think you have to be globally aware when you do an idea, and I think that's something we have by nature, because of all the places we've lived. So we think as our agency as it's a truth global boutique, because
the true global boutique. I like that definition.
Based in New York, it serves clients all the way to Singapore, Amsterdam, US, Colombia, and it has a second leg office in South America too. So it's almost like a global boutique, but with something. For example, we worked at other agencies, this agency, they have an office in Korea, so we're global. And it's like, but the people that worked in New York had no idea who the Korean people were.
Exactly.
I think with us, we have a really interesting global view. We apply global view to extract the insights, to, look, this, because we do it by real experience. We stand up again in front of a Singaporean client, present things for them. We with creatives in Amsterdam, from all over the world too.
Nice.
A different point of view, than saying, oh, I have an office there, but I don't know who runs it, and it just has the same brand as us,
And I think creativity is also important. If you want to have a really creative outcome, it's great to have different people from different cultures with different point of view, because I think, the conversation always gets better when, somebody from a different country tells you, oh, no, in my country it's like that. Oh, okay, that's interesting. How about this?
Right.
It's the same way. And then it's like, you have a powerful concept, and then it's like something simple that can work, in Peru or in Turkey. So it's like, okay, that works. So, and
right. That's where diversity makes a lot of sense, right?
And I think the aspect adding to that, being immigrants, like we've been immigrants like 5 times. We went to a place, but when you're an immigrant, literally, you go to a place and you observe things that the local people might just walk by. Because obviously
that's very true. That's very true.
Environment, you just ignore it and keep going. When you're you look and you find these like insights or these things that are. I remember an idea that exemplifies that we've done recently. We came and we looked a lot on the trash cans, the trash, because there's a lot of rats, and it's like New York is famous for that. And you'll see the locals there just like put their earplug and walk fast through it, because it's like the worst. And we turned these for all the malnutrition labels. We turned the trash into a media. It's like, but that came from us observing. It's like, if we actually turn this, a client doesn't need to pay. It's a media. And then when we saw people like standing there and stopping on the trash and reading it, and it was taking pee. It was like, oh my God, we turned the people that think that they used to run away, and now it became media of advertising. And I think that came because we were looking through an immigrant lens, through a lens of obviously knowing the market, but not being, so it gives you that.
Is that idea not the one? We're not talking about Piñatex. We're talking about another idea.
Yeah, different idea. It's called malnutrition label and the trash
can.
Okay,
tell me a little bit about that, because I don't have that in my.
That was a great idea. No, I'm kidding. But it's
all right. Well, I sell it to you.
No, we basically, highlighted obviously one of the purposes from Dole was also to have a stand on food waste. That is a big problem, as they're the biggest producers of fruit in the world. So it was like we have to have stand on it. So what we did is basically shine the light between food insecurity and food waste. So for example, we found all these facts that, for example, I don't know how many 2,000 tons of eatable food is wasted every week in New York City, while 3 out of 10 people get hungry, right? Or are malnutrition. So it's like, right. Oh wow, right? And then we use the label of that the client already created, like the label, the malnutrition label, to showcase that we stuck it on trash cans. So the trash can suddenly become the place where you waste the food. So it's the place of the problem, but it also became the light, and it was huge success. We got like, I don't know how many earned media, like 14 million in earned media. It went all over the news, appeared
super cool.
And then
and that problem in particular is super huge, right? Like especially in one of the the countries that has more waste.
Exactly. And we did it, we started as a local idea and implemented on other markets by the client because the asset is so simple. And, it just generated a lot of push. We did it in September, like Food Waste Awareness Month, close to the United Nations, like a lot of press coverage for an idea that is basically like a simple guerrilla idea. That is what we like because we come from Peru. That is a guerrilla.
Exactly.
And nice. It was great. Creatively, it won a Grand Clio, a yellow pencil at the DNAD, a lot of accolades, so again, simple idea, so but
no, I didn't have it in my radar. That's super cool, man. That's super cool. I mean, really, guys, I cannot say something, but Joaquin is there. We have some people from Amsterdam here saying that they want a picture with you, but also to drink because we have to share the passion with the people. So guys, everybody, this is Zef from the house. Hey guys, thank you very much. It was super nice. Now let's just keep talking about other things that we cannot say in the microphone.
Perfect. But no, thank you. This is great. It was a delicious rosé.
yeah, long like to eat delicious rosé.
Thanks for having us, Sebastian.
No, Rolando, abrazo.
Todos los derechos reservados y todos los torcidos depravados. El Martínez.
Y mientras se acababa la noche, yo tenía esos pisco sour sabrosos en mis manos. Pensaba, qué bárbaro, ¿vale? Cómo hay latinos rompiéndola en todas partes del mundo. Veía a este par de muchachones destrozándola y no podía más que sentirme más orgulloso que un venezolano en Cannes viendo a 2 peruanos triunfar en Nueva York. Bueno, que era lo que había pasado. Así que, bueno, nada, mientras tanto, muchachos, vamos a celebrar. Ahmed, tírate un poquito más de musiquita y vamos a seguir celebrando que estamos vivos.
Este episodio fue mezclado y musicalizado por el gran Ahmed Cosío en Ciudad de México.
Locución de la voz, Marley Figueroa desde LA.
Investigación y booking, Natalia Visione desde Buenos Aires. Escrito por Sebastián Arrechedera. Dirección de arte y redacción, Ángela Forti desde Madrid. Una producción colaborativa de Rainbow Lobster. El Martínez, un podcast bar improvisadamente meticuloso.